Who was John Keely? Born in Philadelphia on September 3, 1837, and he died in that same city on November 18, 1898. He had a number of roles in different careers, including investigating fraudulent mediums in the spiritual circles of that day. I wonder what Blavatsky would have thought of that. It was in his later years that he came across the role that intrigued Blavatsky enough to write a whole chapter about him in her magnum opus, The Secret Doctrine, and also for Steiner to take note of his work. Keely was an inventor of strange machines that could capture a mysterious force, a force that seemed to be created out of nothing. Yet Keely believed it was the ether. Keely claimed this unknown force was distinct from electricity and magnetism. He was adamant that it was the ether. With his machines, he was able to imprison the ether, release it, and also use it. John Ernest Worrell Keely, born in Philadelphia, was the founder of the Keely Motor Company, which promoted his many inventions and provided him with a space to work on his machines, all of which remained shrouded in mystery. These machines produced unlimited energy, but they did not operate using steam, electricity, oil, or petroleum. Instead, they functioned via a mysterious energy that Keely called sympathetic vibrations. What was even more peculiar about his machines was that they only worked when he operated them. It was as though he had the magic touch that would set them off. We'll explore this further in a little while. Now, let's take a look at Keely's background. As a child, Keely had an interest in sound and vibration, and he soon realized they had a connection. There are a few versions of how he came to this conclusion. One such story is that, as a child, he noticed that when a wagon rolled past his house, the glass windows would vibrate and continue to vibrate for a while after the wagon had passed by. He called this sympathetic vibration, a term he later used to describe how his unlimited energy-producing machines worked. Keely wrote, "My system, in every part and detail, both in the development of this power and in every branch of its utilization, is based and founded on sympathetic vibration. Modern physics now refers to this as vibrational physics." Keely described how vibratory motion is present in every object and how it can be influenced by sound. He studied the effects of sound and musical chords on objects. As a musician who played in a local orchestra, he already had an understanding of musical harmonies. What he sought was the force that sound vibrations created. He realized it was an unseen force, and he set out to harness it with his machines. The force that Keely harnessed was, according to him, a new type of energy, which he simply called the force. Many now associate this with the ether. The Collins English Dictionary defines ether as the hypothetical medium formerly believed to fill all space and to support the propagation of electromagnetic waves. Keely claimed he was drawing energy from the ether, collecting it, and producing energy from the atmosphere using vibration and sound. He regarded this as working with the natural laws of nature, a merging of natural and universal laws to create free and unlimited energy. Keely's most famous invention, the Keely motor, was a type of dissipating motor that also functioned as a generator. Once activated, it supposedly produced unlimited energy. He patented it in 1872, and people traveled from far and wide to see it in action. However, no one understood how it worked. Even the great minds of electricity, Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, visited Keely to witness his machines firsthand. It appeared that his machines operated using principles of hydrodynamics, mechanics, and vibrational physics, but the actual mechanics remained a mystery. This secrecy fueled skepticism. Another major issue was that the machines only functioned when Keely himself was present. While he claimed to have discovered the force, he also was the force. His machines seemed to operate through his own willpower or an attunement to the ether. Some believed that his own magnetism played a role in making the machines function. So, what did Rudolf Steiner have to say about Keely and his machines? Quite a lot, actually. Referring to Keely's work in 1993, Steiner said, "You may know that Keely designed an engine that only worked when he was there himself. He did not fool people with this, because he possessed a driving force within himself, one that emerged from the soul and could set mechanical things in motion. A driving force that can only be moral is the idea of the future. The most important force that must be injected into culture. If it is not to overturn itself," and Steiner talks a lot about moral energy, moral force, and moral scientific science. As we shall see, he was quite concerned about humanity's morality. He continues, "The mechanical and the moral will interpenetrate, because then the mechanical is nothing without the moral. We are facing this limit today. In the future, machines will be driven not just with water and steam, but with spiritual power, with spiritual morality. This power is symbolized by the tower sign and is already being indicated by the image of the Holy Grail. Just as man is no longer only dependent on using what nature gives him voluntarily, but how he shapes and transforms nature, how he has become the master builder of the inanimate, so he will become the master builder of the living. Steiner believed that Keely's motors worked on ethereal energy, the ethereal forces, not the physical energies that machines run on today. Steiner said that Keely was able to use his own etheric body to make his machines operate. Steiner states in GA 169. It occurred over there in America a few decades ago, where, I should like to say, the antipode of Tolstoy emerged in Keely, whose soul was the ideal of constructing an energy that would not run through steam, not through electricity, but through waves that moved, which the person excites himself in his tone, in his language. Imagine a motor that is set up in such a way that it is set in motion by those waves, the ones excites when speaking, for example, or as a person in general, through one's mental life. It was still an ideal, thank God that it was an ideal then. Because what would this war have been if this Keelian idea, this Keelian ideal, had really been realized at that time? Once this is realized, you will only see what the coordination of vibration means in terms of external motor force. Steiner would discuss the Keely machine with only certain people. He emphasized that moral development was an important part of its functioning and that its operation involved multiple forces, the spiritual, the etheric, all being utilized in physical machines. He suggested that all of this would one day be harnessed with human energy. In The Karma of Human Vocation, Steiner states, "Today, machines are constructed, of course, as objective entities, containing little of the human element. But it will not always be so. The course of the world tends to bring about a connection between what the human being is and what he produces and brings into existence. This connection will become ever more intimate. Then, in the reappearance of Christ in the etheric," he adds. In such situations, the will exists to harness human energy to mechanical energy. These things should not be treated by fighting against them, that is a completely false view. These things will not fail to appear, they will come. What we are concerned with is not whether they will emerge, but how they will emerge. In the course of world history, will they be entrusted to people who, in a selfless way, are familiar with the great aims of earthly evolution and structure these things for the health and well-being of human beings? Or will they be enacted by groups of individuals who exploit them for egotistical or group-centered purposes? That is what matters. Steiner emphasizes that the issue is not about what will come, as its emergence is inevitable, but rather about how humanity chooses to develop and apply these technologies. He warns that the merging of human nature and mechanical nature will be a problem of great significance for the remainder of earthly evolution. Throughout his work, Steiner continuously cautions that the future of humanity is uncertain, it can evolve or devolve. The direction it takes is deeply connected to humanity itself and the technologies it will bring forth. He notes that there is a link between harmonic forces and technology, suggesting that if technological development is not guided properly, it could become humanity's downfall. Steiner frequently discusses resonance and wave motion, explaining how these principles are intrinsically tied to both technology and human evolution. He envisions a future where humanity and technology work together through vibrations, with human energy harnessed and directed through resonance in the ether. For those interested in this topic, I recommend reading Paul Emerson's books, where he explores Steiner's and Keely's ideas in depth. Additionally, Steiner's lectures on this subject provide valuable insight. When Keely died, though some speculate that he was killed, it had already been agreed between himself and Annie Besant that all of his machines and related materials would be sent to her. Apparently, they were. It is said that these machines are now hidden away by the Theosophical Society, kept out of reach to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Both Blavatsky and Steiner regarded Keely as a man ahead of his time. The technology he developed, and the means by which it was to be operated, was not meant for his era, but for the future.